Hello friends, I bring good news. At last, the federal agency has become actively involved in the investigation of the elections after being criticized for its passivity by the president. Here, anyone who doesn't run flies, because news comes at a frenetic speed. Opinion article. The FBI decides to investigate the elections. Call for evidence from activist Matt Braynard. The president criticized the agency passivity. Calls for evidence of fraud and disenfranchisement. One district in Michigan recorded at 781% share. The evidence was collected by the Voter Integrity Project. Let's start. The FBI has finally, actively and directly requested information from Matt Braynard, former director of the president's election campaign, on the very important finding that indicate the existence of illegal ballots. Matt Braynard will hand over all the data he has, including names, addresses and telephone numbers, to the federal agency today, Tuesday, he said. This data has been used to identify hundreds of thousands of potentially fraudulent ballots in the states where they filed the lawsuits. Evidence indicates that thousands of voters were disenfranchised because the absentee ballots that they claimed to have returned were not counted. Matt Braynard, leader of the Voter Integrity Project, said last Sunday that FBI was approaching him to review findings related to possible illegal actions in the 2020 election. Through his Twitter account, Braynard said on November 29 that the FBI has approached his team asking them to provide evidence to support their recent findings on voter fraud. In second tweet on November 29th, Braynard attested to the integrity of many FBI agents. While there have been legitimate criticisms of the agency leadership's actions in recent years, I can personally attest to the many patriots within the ranks who are fighting on the side of the Constitution, law and order. He also clarified that the material he shared with local, state and federal law enforcement, as well as litigants, legislators and journalists, was always a copy, stating that therefore there were not necessarily guarantees to proceed with each case. According to Braynard, this team's findings have been or will be included in court documents in the states of Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona. Their findings have been cited in several lawsuits, including two former U.S. Attorney Sidney Powell, arguing that Georgia and Michigan election results are invalid. Therefore, this is not speculative. This is simply what the data shows. President's criticism. This comes after the incumbent president recently lashed out at the FBI for not supporting his claims of election fraud, complaining that some have served many presidents, and saying he was disappointed that no one had been caught. Attorney General William Barr had previously given a green light to federal prosecutors to investigate alleged election irregularities, while urging them not to pursue allegations that are extravagant or far-fetched in his view. The Attorney General's order immediately prompted the resignation of the Department of Justice Director of Election Crimes, Richard Pilger. In an internal communication leaked to the U.S. media, Pilger lamented that Barr's order overturns a 40 years rule of non-interference by the federal government in voter fraud investigation during the period before election certification. Almost a month ago, the Federal Bureau of Investigation had already announced on Tuesday, November 4th, that it was investigating a series of robotic calls or robocalls that allegedly attempted to misinform voters in the middle election day, encouraging them to stay at home and hindering their right to vote in the elections. They were asked to go and vote on Wednesday 4th to avoid long queues, even though the last day to exercise their right to vote was Tuesday 3rd. BIP project. The FBI contacted an election integrity investigator looking for evidence of potential crimes in the 2020 election, said investigator Matt Braynard. The evidence was gathered by the Voter Integrity Project, BIP, led by Matt Braynard, former Director of Data and Strategy for the President's 2016 election campaign. The BIP project also found that thousands of people voted in states where they probably no longer resided because they had already applied for a change of address or even registered in another state. Thousands more registered at post offices, boxes or commercial establishments, placing information with the apparent intention of making the addresses look residential, such as by placing apartment, unit or room. In addition, state data indicated a large number of voters as requesting absentee ballots, although they said they did not request them. The number of questionable ballots exceeds the voting margin in at least 3 states at this time: Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin, Braynard said. His account was supported by the Friendship Project of the Thomas More Society, a non-profit that says it hired Braynard to do the work. We learned that FBI Special Agent Young O from the local FBI office in Los Angeles contacted Mr. Braynard for our information. Mr. Braynard is cooperating fully with this request and we fully support him, says a statement posted on Twitter on November 29th by the project's director, former Kansas Attorney General Philip Klein. One Michigan district had a 75-81% turnout. According to an affidavit in the lawsuit, one Michigan precinct had a 789.91 turnout, adding that no fewer than 6 districts listed by Representative Posey experienced a turnout of more than 120%. Then others allegedly enjoyed 100% turnout. Brief news. The Spanish stock market rises 25% in November, the biggest monthly increase in its history. The IBEX 35, the reference stock market index in Spain, closed its last session in November at 8.076 basic points, which means a growth of 25.18% in the accumulated month, the biggest monthly increase in his history, well above the 16.6 of June 2012. Kryptonian miners are leaving Abkhazia without electricity. Lately, the residents of the capital of Abkhazia, Sukhum, are very worried about the blackouts caused by the Kryptonian miners, whose computers are overloading the power of grid of the region. Institutions and ordinary citizens are demanding more restrictions on this activity. Almost isolated from the world since 2008, The economy of Abkhazia, a green region of Black Sea coast, is largely based on trade with Russia. Its products are exported by the neighboring country as well as receiving Russian tourists. But since 2016, Abkhazia, which has about 250,000 inhabitants, has also become a haven for the thriving crypto coin industry. Entrepreneurs are importing computer parts and taking advantage of the country's low electricity rates, as well as low-cost real estate and lax regulations imposed by the government to set up server farms and seek profit from the global digital currency boom. Unlike real coins, which are printed and minted by governments, digital coin generally involve sophisticated computing algorithms, known as coin mining. This requires both expensive computer equipment and high energy consumption. A monolith appears in Romania, almost identical to the one in Utah. Unlike the artifact discovered in the USA, the one that appeared in Romania doesn't have a smooth surface. A metal monolith similar to the one found last week in the state of Utah was found on a hill near the Romanian city of Piatra Neamț. The first media outlet to report on the strange object, the local radio station Journal FM, says it received reports of the artifact last Thursday morning. 2 days after the discovery in Utah, it details that it's a shiny metal structure about 4 meters high and a triangular with a horizontal projection. In the meantime, a video published by the station shows that unlike the artifact discovered in the US, the one found in Romania does not have a smooth surface, but is covered with a pattern of drawings. At the moment, it's not known who installed the monument. However, the authorities have already started a search, arguing that the creator of the monolith would have violated private property. Romania has always been a land of mystery, a lot of mysteries. Thanks a lot for your patience, and until next day.